The city of Pocatello is located in the northwestern state of Idaho. It's largely made up by members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-days Saints and is considered a safe, close, and tight-knit community, known as the Gateway to the Northwest. Over 100 years, Pocatello has been home to tourist travelers and residents alike. It is a place that people are proud to call their home. However, in 2006, the city of Pocatello would be at the center of one of the most horrific and disturbing murders in modern U.S. history. Just 4 days before Christmas in 1989, Cassie Jo Stoddart was born. She grew up in a secure and loving family who thought the world of her. She was a committed and straight-A student who kept out of trouble, had lots of friends, and was on the right path in life, as she was both reliable and trustworthy. Her aunt and uncle Allison and Frank Contreras asked her to house it for them and watch their pets whilst they were out of town. So on the evening of the 22nd of September 2006, she headed over to the house whilst at the home on Whispering Cliffs Drive in northeast Bannock County. She invited over her boyfriend Matt Beckham at around 6 p.m. later in the evening, her school friends Brian Draper and Torey Adamcik, who she went to Pocatello High School with, also visited. She gave them a tour of the house, and then they settled in to watch a film. The teens were halfway through Kill Bill Volume 2 when Brian and Torey said they were going to go to a cinema to watch a film instead, and with that, they left while Cassie and Matt continued relaxing. Without warning, the power went out, unsure as to what to do. Cassie became uneasy, but before long the power came back on. Matt spotted one of the dogs staring down the basement stairs before it started to bark and growl. But he thought nothing more of it. Matt rang his mother to see if he could stay with Cassie that night. As she felt unsafe, his mother said no, but said that Cassie was welcome to stay with them. She declined, saying that she had been asked to look after the house by her family and felt obliged to stay. At around 10:30 p.m., Matt's mother arrived. To collect him, Matt decided to see if Brian and Torey wanted to meet up. So-called Thamas, they said they were going to the cinema. Torey was whispering, so Matt couldn't hear what he was saying. Matt ultimately decided to stay at home. 2 days later on Sunday, Cassie's family returned home to Whispering Cliffs Drive up. On entering the house, Cassie's 13-year-old cousin was confronted by a horrific and traumatizing sight. Cassie was found on the living room floor, having been stabbed to death. In a frenzied and brutal attack, the police quickly arrived on scene and sealed off the area. An autopsy revealed that Cassie had been stabbed approximately 30 times, with 12 of the wounds being potentially fatal. 3 days after Cassie's body was found, the police announced they had made arrests in connection with her murder, and this would send shockwaves throughout this tight-knit community. Brian Draper and Torey Adamcik had been taken into custody and were being interrogated by investigators. People were stunned. These were not only classmates but trusted friends who Cassie enjoyed spending time with. Both boys were considered social outsiders, but Cassie had embraced and befriended them. Brian had spent most of his childhood in Utah before his family moved to Pocatello. It was a Pocatello high school that met Torey Adamcik, and they soon bonded over their mutual love of film. They used a camera to document different aspects of their lives, and Cassie soon featured in many of their recordings. On September 27th, after hours of interrogation, Brian Draper agreed to lead officers to where he and Torey Adamcik had gotten rid of the items they had used in Cassie's murder. Amongst the items were a pair of black fingerless gloves, several knives, a partially burned mask, Sony videotape, and a partially burned handwritten note. Police tried to decipher what the note said and were able to determine a few sentences, parts of which read, "Is home alone. Stop out the house, runs into Torey, we murder Cassie, Brian chases her, kill her." The terrifying picture was starting to become clear. This had not been a spur of the moment murder. This had been a carefully planned and executed crime, a fantasy that they had been determined to carry out. As the investigation continued, they uncovered more disturbing evidence against Brian and Torey. The pair had filmed Cassie on the morning of the murder when they were at school. Investigators also found footage of them gleefully talking about what it was they were about to do. There should be no odds against killing people. I know it's a wrong thing, but hell, you restrict somebody from it, they're gonna want it. More, we found our victim and says maybe she's our friend, but you know what, we all have to make sacrifices. Our first victim is gonna be Cassie Stoddart. She's gonna be alone in a big dark house out in the middle of no. Where how perfect can you get? I mean like holy. Dude, I'm horny just thinking about it. Oh yeah, the full horrors of what happened to Cassie Jo Stoddart that night had finally become clear, whilst at the house and giving them the tour. Cassie had shown them the basement, and before they left, Brian unlocked the door to ensure that he and Torey could re-enter the house without them being noticed after they said they were going to head to the cinema. They left the house and returned to the neighborhood later and parked down the street. I was 9:50, September 22nd, 2006. We know there's lots of doors there's lots of places to hide. I locked the back doors, that's all a lot. Now we just gotta wait. They left the car and put on dark clothes, gloves, and masks before heading back to the home. They let themselves in through the unlocked basement door and cut the power at the circuit breaker, plunging the house into total darkness. They hoped that Cassie and Matt would come down to the basement to investigate. But when neither of them did, they turned the power back on the dog that was growling and staring down the stairs had spotted the power of them hiding in the basement. When Matt rang to ask if they wanted to hang out, Torey was whispering so he wouldn't be discovered, hiding inside the house. After they were sure that Matt had gone, the pair cut the power again. Brian opened and slammed a door at the top of the stairs. The aim was to scare Cassie as much as possible. They then terrorized and terrified her before brutally stabbing her to death. The disturbing details did not stop there. The police soon found the following footage. I just killed Cassie. We just left her house. This is not a joke. I stabbed her in the throat and I saw her lifeless body. I disappeared, dude. I just killed Cassie. That felt like real. I mean, it went by so fast though. We gotta get our act straight. Okay, Torey Adamcik and Brian Draper, two seemingly unremarkable 16-year-old boys, were charged with first-degree murder. During the interviews, the boys turned one at each other. Brian initially said that while he had been in the room when Cassie was murdered, it was Torey who had stabbed her, and not him. He later confessed to stabbing her, but said that it was under Torey's orders. As the pair went on trial, the small city of Pocatello became the center of a national media firestorm. Journalists from all over the country had gathered to follow this disturbing case to its conclusion. The damning video footage was shown to the court. Stunned onlookers watched on in silence, and they saw how Brian Draper and Torey Adamcik had meticulously planned their crime and the glee they had taken in murdering their classmate and friend. One question that people wanted answered was why Brian revealed that he had been inspired by Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, who became internationally notorious when they carried out the Columbine High School massacre in 1999. Torey Adamcik was said to be influenced by the classic horror film Scream. The first film focuses on a group of high school students who are terrorized and hunted by a masked killer. Part of the killer's modus operandi is they scare and terrorize their victims before brutally stabbing them. On the 17th of April 2007, Brian Draper was found guilty, and less than 2 months later, so was Torey Adamcik. They were convicted of first-degree murder and received the mandatory life sentence of life without the possibility of parole. They also received 30 years to life for conspiracy to commit murder. The life sentences given to the pair could be reviewed as the case of Miller versus Alabama, declared that mandatory life sentences without the possibility of parole for juvenile offenders was unconstitutional. Since their sentence, the pair have filed several appeals against their conviction. However, none so far have been successful. They are currently both serving their sentences in the Idaho State Correctional Institution. In the years following the murder, Brian and Torey have appeared in several documentaries about their crime tree. Adamcik was also interviewed as part of an episode of the true crime show called Justice. He was suspected of stabbing a woman to death in her own home in Pocatello just 2 years before the murder of Cassie. Although DNA evidence would eventually rule Torey out, the police were able to gain further insight into him while they were investigating. They conducted a telephone interview with Brian Draper, who revealed some disturbing details about Torey's personality. Did Torey ever show you any knives that the collected or kept at his house? Yeah, I think he probably had like 4 or 5 knives in his closet. He needs to show them to me. Hey Brian, did he ever talk to you about like mutilating animals or things like that? Yeah. He used to talk about how he used to kill cats. I'd be hanging out from wherever, he'd take his cat and he'd like choke his cat. You know, I mean, a little bit. He's like, watch this. I'm like, okay. He said that he killed the cat by he buried it inside the ground except his head was exposed. He ran over a lawnmower or whatever. Torey's mother Shannon has also written a book about her son's case called The Guilty Innocent. The book takes the reader behind the scenes of the trial. She argues that the prosecutors did not care for the truth.